You were never supposed to see it. That was the whole point. The lights were too bright, the music too loud, the distractions too perfectly timed. They built a carnival around your pain and called it love. They handed you a script written in invisible ink and said, "Just trust us." But you didn't. Not really. You felt the lie in the air, thick as stage fog, clinging to your skin like smoke. After a fire no one admitted happened. And now you're standing in the wreckage of their illusion, barefoot, unscripted, and broadcasting live. Because silence was never your weakness. It was your weapon. And you just pulled the trigger. The one they buried under layers of denial, gaslight, and that soft, smug cruelty disguised as concern. She's too emotional. She's remembering it wrong. It wasn't that bad. Oh, but it was. And you didn't just remember. You archived every sideways glance, every backhanded compliment, every time they said, "I love you," like it was a leash. You saved it all, not for revenge. No, you saved it for resurrection. Because the truth doesn't die, it hibernates. And now it's awake. And it's not knocking. It's kicking down the door with your name on its knuckles. This isn't a scandal. This is a reckoning in HD. This is the moment the cameras finally turned, the microphones finally stayed on, and the world finally saw what you've been screaming into the void. They thought you were broken, fragile, a cautionary tale about what happens when you can't let go. But baby, you didn't hold on too long. You held on just right. You held on until the foundation cracked, until their smiles started to tremble, until the audience leaned forward and whispered, "Wait, was she telling the truth the whole time?" And now the narrative isn't just shifting, it's imploding, and you're not standing in the debris. You're standing above it. Crownless, but crowned. They built a stage to humiliate you, lit it with judgment, dressed it in rumors, cast you as the unstable one, the dramatic one, the one who ruined everything. But here's the twist they never saw coming. You were the audience all along. You were the one watching them, their lies, their panic, the way their hands shook when they thought no one was looking. You saw the rehearsals, the damage control, meetings, the way they practiced sympathy in the mirror. And you didn't stop them. You let them dig, because the deeper they went, the harder they'd fall, and fall they did. Right into the crater of their own making. You didn't burn the house down. You just stopped pretending it wasn't already on fire. You didn't scream for justice. You simply stopped lying for them. And that was the detonator. Because once one person stops playing along, the whole script collapses. The actors forget their lines. The director flees the set. And the illusion, it doesn't fade. It shatters, loud enough to wake the neighbors of every silenced soul who ever doubted their own memory. Now they're scrambling, calling old allies, drafting statements, trying to spin your clarity as chaos, your peace as pettiness. They'll say you're bitter, that you're still holding on, but you're not holding on. You're letting go of their version, their approval, their fragile little world where they are the heroes and you're the storm they had to weather. Newsflash, you're not the storm, you're the calm after, the quiet that follows the earthquake, the stillness that makes them hear themselves for the first time. And what they hear is guilt, is shame, is the echo of every lie they told, now bouncing back like a curse they can't outrun. You don't need to speak. Your existence is the indictment. Your presence is the proof. You walk into a room now and the air changes, not because you're angry, not because you're plotting, but because you're awake. And that terrifies them, because awake people don't beg. They don't negotiate. They don't apologize for existing. They simply are. And in that stillness, in that unshakable knowing, their power evaporates like mist under a spotlight. They thought secrets were sacred, that shame was a lock, that silence meant surrender. But you turned silence into a frequency, a signal so pure, so undeniable, it bypassed their filters, their denials, their entire damn network of deception. And now the broadcast is global, and you're not just on air. You're the station, the signal, the source code of a truth they can't jam, can't censor, can't explain away, because you didn't just expose them. You revealed the system. And once the system is seen, it can't be unseen. Let them call you ruthless. Let them say you've gone too far. But you didn't go too far. You went all the way through the fire, the lies, the betrayal, the loneliness, the nights you cried into a pillow so no one would hear. And you came out, not broken, branded, marked by truth, cloaked in clarity, armed with receipts written in your own blood and tears. And you didn't throw them in anyone's face. You just lived them. And that's what kills them. Not your anger, not your words, but your peace. The fact that you're not coming for them. You're leaving them behind. They wanted a villain, so they painted you one. But heroes don't rise from revenge. They rise from remembrance, from refusing to forget, from standing in the fire and saying, I see you, I remember, and I'm not afraid anymore. And now the world sees too. And they're not looking at you with pity. They're looking at you with recognition, because your story isn't just yours. It's a mirror, and in it, millions see their own silenced screams, their own buried truths, their own quiet courage. So let the credits roll. Let the finale play. But don't mistake this for an ending. This is the pilot, the first episode of a new era. One where truth isn't shouted, it's broadcast, where the silenced aren't just heard, they're hosts, and where the ones who thought they controlled the narrative, they're now just footage, deleted scenes, forgotten lines, a footnote in a story they never understood. You didn't win because you fought. You won because you woke up. And once you wake up, the dream dies. And the nightmare, it becomes history. And history, darling, always gets edited by the ones who survive it. So write it loud, write it raw, write it with your head high and your heart unchained. Because the secret's out, the show's live, the mic's hot. And you're not just on the air, you are the air. Now breathe fire and tell the Batman I said hello.